Okay, so we've had a few setbacks and we've made a lot of progress. One of the setbacks was I wanted to keep the stock Riotoro fans on the front, but I did have to swap them out for the fans that come with this GamerStorm radiator. But it is mounted. I have the CPU cooler installed. Obviously the motherboard is installed. Got a lot of the cabling done here in the back, and I think I'm ready to move forward. I did realize that I have been scraping my knuckles on the case somewhere while I was installing something. I'm not sure. I didn't discover this until this morning. Let's see if we can get that. So I'm going to try to be a little more careful this time and going forward. So today I am going to install the Corsair Mp 600 SSD. This is Gen 4X M.2 NVMe. I'm sorry, PCIe Gen 4. And then after this, I will install the memory. This is 64 gigs of DDR4, 3000 megahertz. And they're both Corsair products, in case I didn't say that. All right, let's get the SSD installed first. So I was warned that the presentation by Corsair for this SSD is not much to look at, and everyone online is absolutely right. It is just this box with this foam and a little bit of this cutout for the drive. Look at that, very plain Jane. But I didn't buy this for the packaging, so let's get this inside. So this is interesting. The memory, the heatsink is mounted on the memory so that this logo has to be facing this way. And I guess I don't really have too much of a problem with that, except that this last module here on the end, the back side of the heatsink, which has all of this product information, is going to be visible. And I would rather have this be visible. But what can you do? Okay, so now that I have the memory and the SSD installed, it's time to put in the graphics card. This I cannot wait to install. Alright, this is the MSI GeForce RTX 2080 Super. And this is a gigantic card, probably the biggest card I've ever had to install. But such is the way for the current generation. As a comparison, this is the 970 that it is replacing. We can see that the 2080 is a good maybe 2 inches longer. Yeah, that's about right. Okay, so when I unboxed the graphics card, I did mention that it came with this strange arm, and I wasn't sure what it did exactly. I mean, I assumed it was a brace of some kind, but I didn't see any documentation with the graphics card that explained what this was exactly. Maybe I missed it, maybe I just wasn't looking hard enough. But according to the motherboard, which is also MSI, It does recommend that when using large cards such as this, that you also install the MSI, I think it's a graphics card bolster. So let's just see how this would look. I assume you would do something like this. Would be set like this. Yeah, I suppose I could do that. I don't know. It does look a little tacky. But I also don't want to damage the computer. So, whew. Decisions. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to install it. I don't see a lot of builds using this thing, and I have to assume other people have bought MSI cards. So let's do it. If I don't like it, I can always take it off and run the risk of bending my motherboard or dealing with video card sag. Now that I'm looking at it, I guess it'll be okay. Yeah, I guess it'll be okay. Once again, you know, if I get sick of looking at it, I can always take it off. All right. I think we can start moving on to connecting the PSU and getting some power cables installed. And now it's time to install the power supply unit. This is a Corsair RM650, 650 watts. It is fully modular, as you can see here. And I got this one in particular, one because the wattage was enough for all of the components that I have in here, and with a little bit of room for overhead. But most of all, because of its compact size, it should be 160 millimeters in length, and so it should fit this space well, while also leaving just enough room to bend the cables that I'm going to need to insert here around this wall that is in the Riotoro case. So hopefully in version 2, Nelson, if you're watching, Nelson from Riotoro, this will have a cutout for some cabling, and maybe we'd have another cutout over here for more cabling as well for some of the connectors on the back end of the motherboard. All right, enough talk, let's get this installed. So I know this looks like a rat's nest, but I will clean this up and tie them all down once I have everything in place. Everything else is going to be routed on the other side of that wall. Maybe I should start tying stuff down now, because this is going to get gnarly. I'm going to get to tying down these cables. Be right back. Okay, so not the cleanest cable management I've ever done, and I did cheat and just crammed all of the excess cables or length of cables in this kind of empty space down here, and I am just gonna crush these cables against the side panel as best as I can. This is what happens when you've been building for several days. You just get lazy. Maybe that's just me. Anyway, I wanted to give you a look at the back before I closed it up. Hey, not bad. The side panel slid on without any issue, and no bulge, so it doesn't look like any of the cabling is pressing against it. So I'm pretty happy about that. And here is the front. I'm thinking maybe I should get a comb for these cables, especially like this. This looks pretty messy, and this one isn't the best, but I'm gonna live with it for now because I'm actually kind of tired of building this thing. So, but overall, I'm pretty happy with how things turned out. Let's just take this bad boy off. Lovely. Well, that was a gnarly experience. You know, I don't build computers very often, and I wouldn't consider myself an expert by any stretch of the imagination. But I'd like to think I know what I'm doing at least a little bit. Yet, no matter how many times I'm sure that I've bought all of the right parts and I have the right installation order for all of the components, I always end up missing something essential, like a power cable or something like that. And I end up installing something before I'm supposed to, and it ends up blocking me from being able to plug in a cable into the motherboard. Be that as it may, the build is finished, and I am happy with it overall. And that's it for me. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. And if you have any tips, tricks, or advice on what I can do to improve, then please leave a comment. And I will see you next time.